What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? He, she's. Oh shit. Oh, that wasn't very politically correct. What is up, everybody? We are here. Terran versus Protoss, Kokanee versus Hydra. This is a very anticipated match, and it should be a good one. Two of the top non-Koreans here will be battling it out. Kokanee we have seen before, XP hero, 4 drones. He has all of those go-to AKAs that have been on this map. He has defeated a lot of Koreans, therefore I have given him the nickname the Korean Slayer. He will be his Protoss, which rarely loses. You do not see his Protoss lose very often. And he is going to be up against Hydra, who has a very good Terran. Both these players very good. Hydra, back in his prime, was a very good player, a beast of a player. He has come back fairly recently and been doing very well. We'll see how well he does stack up against Kokanee AV, aka the Korean Slayer. So far, nothing too crazy happening. We do have that Nexus first build from Kokanee, which is going to work out in these positions, not going to be getting too much pressure, and he is going to go for that gateway and possibly a forge. No, he's going to go for the double gateway here. So, yeah, gonna look like he's going to try to be semi-aggressive, maybe not though with that pylon here at the choke. The first SCV is going to go through the top here, make sure there is no mid-build, see that probe coming out, and he is going to be able to know that exactly where Kokanee is and scout him accordingly. He does just have his 3 barracks done, and he is just rallying to his choke here. The probes have been pulled back to the base, a forge has been thrown down, and yeah, this SCV is going to get all the scouting information off here. Going to see that he is up against a Nexus first, so we'll see if he plans on going for those command center response, or if he's going to go for a more aggressive response here. It will be up to him to kind of choose that. Yeah, I don't know if he can turtle quite as well in this bottom middle position. He is going to be having to defend a lot of drops here. Is rallying up these Marines now to that choke area to perhaps prevent a scout of the Protoss player. These 2 zealots are going to come out here probably to get a scout on themselves. Well, they actually are just going to go up into the... No, I don't know what they're doing yet. Okay, yeah, they are going to scout. They are going to split up and get some scout on. Those Marines were sent back home as well, and the assimilator has been thrown down now. So he is just going to stick off 2 gate and now tack up once his choke is established. A little bit safer of a build than that single gateway. We did see the Terran pressure happen in that last series with the Vulture versus JH. So the double gateway seems to be just a little bit safer, just in case you do get scouted that early and they do decide to pull some SCVs. So Hydra has responded with not a command center of his own, but a double factory. So it looks like he is going to be applying some very quick pressure here instead of macroing up. So see how this works out for him. A little bit riskier, I would say, but in the spot that he is in, I do have a feeling that went into his decision making here. Academy almost done here, and yeah, we'll see what if he's. I don't think he's going to build a bunker or anything. I imagine he's going to add some barracks once he does get that economy to do so. He does want to save up his gas and minerals so he can start that siege mode and build a siege tank immediately. Looks like Kokanee isn't going to go for any crazy drop quick. Okay, actually no, maybe he is. He's playing fairly standard, not going all in with the drops. He's getting the Citadel of Adun. Looks like he's going to go for the High Templar drops into some kind of mass, as he is adding an additional gateway. getting a pylon down here to make sure that no barracks are floated up there and fire bats are going to run into its base. We do see a possible engagement here. Zealots are retreating. He does want to keep these alive. Doesn't want to just throw them away against this number of Marines. Going to run back into his choke here, and there are a lot of cannons here at the front here, so Kokanee isn't going to die to Marine medic push, that is for sure here, but we'll see how he does against the tank. The first tank is getting rallied up here, and that will start shooting away at these cannons. A dropship is completed, and the Templar of Archives is being built. Jesus Christ. And he is going to have to deal with DTs. No detection here. He is getting a engineering base, so he may have to get a SCV up there to build a turret, because I imagine there is going to be at least, there we go, 2 DTs are being built here to delay and or prevent this from happening, as there is no detection for our Terran player. The command center is a little bit later than usual here, because he really did want to get these tanks out ASAP. Tanks are pressuring here very nicely, taking out these cannons. More cannons are being pushed back here. DTs are almost out, and a Reaver is being built here. So there is going to be a Reaver counter drop coming soon. I don't know if he's going to use that defensively or not, but yeah, these DTs, I don't think there is going to be an answer for them. He does unsiege, and yeah, he does see the bad news that there is some DTs, and he is going to have to run away here, as no detection is in sight. Not even at home yet. He is throwing down one single turret here, but I imagine this SCV is also going to build a turret, but these DTs are going to not have any detection and get lots of free kills, delaying this. Another tank getting taken out with follow-up with these zealots here. And yeah, the counter pressure just like that here. Hydra had to have known that this was going to come, but these DTs are still pretty early here. Going to throw all of those units around the missile turret to get some detection, but the DT does run by and they does split them up, keeps them both alive nicely. 4 kills, 7 kills, so 11 kills total on those DTs. Some Marines are going to stem in here to get this DT. The DT does get denied going that direction from those SCVs, mining gas. And yeah, he isn't going to die to these DTs, but could he possibly die to these SCVs? The drop is also on route here. He is sending these zealots in as a little bit of a distraction, maybe a little bit earlier than he would like. The DT is still going to prevent this push to stop the cannons coming up, but here is the Reaver coming in here, running right into that turret, is going to drop right on the SCV line and get one shot off. Only one single kill here. Good pull by our Terran player, and yeah, this isn't going to kill him again. Very nicely done, pulling all of his SCVs very quickly, and is going to prevent any damage from that Reaver and those DTs. Kokanee looking to get some map control here to slow that counter pressure from the Terran back out here at all. Going to, oh, he does, looks like a miss rally on some of those tanks there. Not sure where or what happened there, but that isn't going to be good. Now throwing down some bunkers, seeing as he has lost his ability to pressure, and he is now going to have to turtle. Does have those triple command center up, and he should be in a pretty good position. A DT or a high Templar drop going to come in here, going to get off a pretty good amount of kills. 9 SCV kills there. Very nicely done here. That is not a bad move at all. You can see the Protoss up to 71 probes to 35 SCV. So the Protoss has officially taken control of the game, as yeah, the Loft Hydra invested so much into that quick factory, and it just got destroyed by those DTs. Hydra really did need a turret up here with that push, and this would be a whole different game here. But as it is right now, Kokanee does have a pretty good handle on the game. Throwing down some cannons to prevent those tank drops. This DT still alive, possibly from... No, that only had 1 kill, so I don't think that was that same DT. It looks like it was a new DT. Cannons just going up all over the map, possibly going to start building some gateways. A bunch of scans going down for our Terran player, going to get a scout off here. Marines are going to come in here, stem, pick off that dropship and that High Templar before he can get any storms off. So good defense there for our Terran player. Siege mode up and a bunch of turrets here, preventing another push from the front, but we'll see what the long-term plan is. It looks like Kokanee is just wanting to mass while continuing to drop here, and possibly slowly transition into carriers as he is starting his Stargate tech. Carriers are going to be hard to defend in this position as they will have free reign over here in the spot. And I think that's what this Zealot is kind of doing. It's also preventing any kind of scout on this side. So Hydra will have the smallest amount of time to react to these drops and or carriers. Drop here coming in from the top here. We'll see if Hydra can defend once again. Can't really take another hit on his economy as of right now. Only dropped a single High Templar. He did have another High Templar in there, but he did not drop it. No Storm is going to get off here. Just these couple of Marines are able to prevent that from doing any damage. So nicely done once again from Hydra here. I don't think it would be a bad idea to fill up a couple more of these dropships, as the defense for Hydra is very minimal, defending with a very bare minimum at the moment here. If you would have filled up all these dropships, they could definitely unload and cause some havoc on this main, but as of right now, he is just opting to do the single drop here. He is going to do a double kind of attack here, attack on the front to distract, but it does not work. Hydra is able to stim and get a storm off. Going to injure a lot of these SCVs, but I don't think he killed many here. Just going to get them all in the red there, while also defending here at the front here. You can see a lot of that Dragoon blood here. Not able to hurt the Terran player once again, as the Terran is pretty good at turtling up. We do see the carrier production starting with only 3 Stargates as he masses up gateways in the middle. So the Protoss is getting himself in a really great position, going to now start throwing pylons around the map to just gain even more map control. Another drop here, looking like it is going to be ready to go here. More Stargates are being added here. We can see the air upgrades are starting to spin there. And yeah, Kokanee isn't really planning on killing him with just the ground and drop, so he is going to have to get those carriers. Another drop coming in here, not accompanied by any Corsairs here, but still not much defense is down. 67 SCV is going to get dropped and kill about 13, quite a few. What, 21 SCVs there? So a very effective drop there. That lack of defense really hurting him. A bunch of scans going down. Looks like he scanned the sides of his base here. He does have like 8 scans, so he probably could just scan everything that's going on. Is possibly going to see that the Stargates are starting to kick in here. Another drop here from Kokanee, just relentless with these drops here. Constantly dropping and preventing Hydra from getting that super economy, getting that mass gate or factories up here. The drop going to come in here. High Templar is going to storm, taking out a lot of Marines there. Not so many SCVs, but that other drop is going to go down and take out a good number of SCVs there once again. So Kokanee continuing to get lots of damage here, really preventing Hydra from getting that factory count that he wants. And I don't know what he is going to do to counter the carriers once they come. I feel like the carriers are going to be able to eat up that main without much resistance. Dragoons here in range of this factory out of the tank, so some of these tanks are going to have to move a little bit closer. These cannons being a little bit optimistic here. I don't think cannons outrange siege tanks. And I don't think these cannons are going to be able to hit that factories here. But if he can continue to close the gap here, well, it looks like those depots were found. So now Hydra doesn't have any vision on any of these minerals to pull his SCVs. So we'll see if that becomes an issue as these drops are going to continue to pile in here. This looks like a distraction drop here. We'll see if there's a real one somewhere else on the map, because, or did Kokanee, I don't think Kokanee would have forgotten this. Maybe he did forget that. There we go. That one with the High Templars is going to join him now. A couple of more scans did just go down there. I did hear, don't see exactly where they are. I wish they would show on the minimap like they do in StarCraft 2. Because it is helpful to know exactly what Hydra is seeing here. Just now, trying to throw up some of these extra factories here, as his SCV count is continuing to stay low here. You see this drop going in. He does have 61 SCVs. See how many go down here. Going to have a lot of stim marines here, and they are going to prevent anything from happening. And you can see that his pulling isn't going to be as quick and efficient now, as he is going to have to scan a mineral patch and try to pull them that way, as it is not going to be an easy thing to do. We see these these zealots going around the map to see what the Terran player has on these mineral patches to prevent him from pulling effectively. I do like that idea a lot. I assume that's what he was doing there. We'll see if that zealot does continue to go around the map to scout these mineral spots, just to make sure there isn't a supply depot, an SCV, or a building floating around here, because that is typically what players use to pull their SCVs to drop. The tanks are now pushing forward. I don't know if he has the factory count to do this. He is maxed out here, but if he loses these units, then it could be trouble. But I think he must have scanned the carrier, so he knows that he has to go now here. This carriers are going to be accompanied by a drop here with 2 High Templars in here, just not many turrets at all here. So I don't know how effective this will be, but he does have a max army, so this could possibly be a base trade kind of situation here. The 2 High Templars are going to drop. He did have 69 there, and he kills, what, 29 SCVs there once again, so just absolutely devastating that Terran economy. He does have a little bit of a bank now, luckily, but these carriers are now going to come in here and just tear apart this anti-air and possibly pick off this carrier. This main, really not much defense here. It does have the triple command center to remax those SCVs here, and the carrier count may be low enough that he isn't able to actually pick off this main. I don't even think he's targeting right now. The marine count is fairly high here, as he didn't pull many of them with... Oh, he actually is stacking repair there. So very nicely done by Hydra. The interceptor count is way too low as he continues to push forward. So we have ourselves a decent little game here. Right when I think that he doesn't have enough defense, just Marine alone is able to prevent these carriers from getting that main, and he is able to counter pressure at the same time with all of his siege tanks, while he hopefully continues to build his factories. So we do have ourselves at an interesting point here. He is possibly going to have to pull these carriers back for defense. We'll see exactly what he opts to do. He's going to poke in here once again while the tanks continue. He is starting to build Goliath, so it looks like he is going to just use Goliath as his countermeasure. These okay, that's going to get picked off right away. These carriers were going in to try to distract these Marines, target fire. Well, that drop snuck in, but the High Templar and dropship were picked off. And now we do see some counter pressure here. A lot of High Templars back at home, and I don't see pretty much anything else. The carriers are continuing to be rallied in, so Kokanee not too worried about this. Pulling some probes here, as his probe count is too high in his opinion. Observer also out, just in case any kind of cloaked ghost or wraith are going to try to counter these carriers. The carriers are now being pulled back home. He is basically max carriers with just a couple High Templars, dropships, and zealots here. All of the scans are going down, but the Terran is now entering the Protoss base. Another drop is being rallied out here, but despite everything, yeah, I don't know if he'll have enough this time. A nice surround of carriers here, going to be able to pick off, I think, this entire army here. Continuing to build cannons so these tanks can't push forward, while his drop is going in at the bottom here. You see SCV count up to 51. He has kind of stopped SCV production. Both players at not the highest worker count here, but Kokanee does have an untouched economy. And still, just barely. Oh no, there we go. We do see a big, deadly drop there, taking out, what, 28 SCVs there. You can see that is a problem with not having map control. Isn't able to pull his SCVs anywhere, and they were just destroyed as they were just pulled to that gas area. That is the benefit of having map control, and it was smart for him to send that zealot all around and pick off any kind of units or buildings that may have been allowing him to pull. Nice little strategy there from Kokanee. And now he is just going to use these carriers along with pulling more probes actually. I don't know if that is, I guess he just wants maximum units right now, as his bank is golden right now. A big drop coming in while these carriers continue to push forward. Just being countered by Marines and a couple of Goliaths here, just opting to take out these interceptors as they decide to flow out. Oh, we do see some starports coming up and some Valkyries here, so he is slowly transitioning into some anti-air for these carriers, but his bank is really hurting now. His economy isn't flourishing as much as he would like, but he does have that 4 command centers pumping out SCVs non-stop, but he's also against these drops non-stop. So he's at 53 SCVs. We'll see how well this drop does. He did scan that time to pull the SCVs, which he does have to do here. High Templar does drop, going to kill 6 or 7, possibly 8 SCVs there. And yeah, he does hold on yet again, but you can see that his economy is really hurting. His Arbiter is now out here with High Templars. This is a deadly Protoss army here. Excuse me. Storms are absolutely going to ravish those Marines here, and this frontal push may be enough here. Kokanee slowly taking back map control as well here, just playing this out very solidly. You can see the carriers do run in there. Once all their interceptors are dead, they just like to suicide bomb themselves in, as the carriers themselves don't do any damage, only their interceptors. The High Templar here with enough for 2 storms is going to stay alive. Throws down one of his storms. There we go. Throws down 2 storms, making sure he doesn't get picked off in vain. There is one more storm there, but he does die before he can get that off. A couple of Goliath pushing out, and maybe over pushing or maybe overextending there a little bit. Bunch of scans are going down. It is going to be a Dragoon here, follow up here. Fully upgraded at this moment. I assume, yeah, everything is fully upgraded now for the Protoss. The Terran is missing 1 upgrade. The Terran is not fully upgraded, so you can see that his economy just has really been just not the strongest here. Does have a decent number of Valkyries out now. Let's see how well they do. Hydra just really going. Oh, a nice EMP there. I do like that a lot. And the Valkyries are coming in. But I think the Arbiter is going to come in for a recall. No, just going to throw down that freeze and freeze all of those Valkyries here, which is going to hurt. That's because a lot of his supply and a lot of his anti-air is there. Kokanee picking off both of those armories to prevent those upgrades once again, so those Terran upgrades are going to be super low. Picks off the main this time. This side is a lot easier to do that. And the carrier count is a lot higher. He is now trying to pick off all of these extra command centers here, moving back into the space to prevent the carriers from taking any damage, and just going to have to rely on picking off all of these interceptors, which is just not an easy task as there are so many here. And yeah, Hydra being supply stuck now, also picking off of these supply depots, really just absolutely destroying the Terran economy and infrastructure here. Valkyries finally unfreeze themselves and are going to be able to possibly pick off some of these carriers, but the carriers run into these couple little cannons, which are just going to be able to prevent these Valkyries from chasing them down. And yeah, it looks like our Terran player is really hurting right now, taking a big hit right there, losing his main, losing a bunch of depots, his upgrades, and yeah, just not really being in a big position or in a good position at all here. He is going to nonetheless continue to push forward with these tanks, but just the anti-air is not here to stop these carriers. And these carriers are once again going to come in here. Arbiter very nicely freezing those Valkyries once again as these carriers continue to push forward. And joined with these Dragoons, I don't know how the Terran could possibly hold on to it. His economy is now shot after queuing up units in all of his production facilities. Just doesn't have that SCV count that he needs, and yeah, he's still going to not even be able to max out. He will basically be able to max out, but I don't know. I don't think he'll have the economy, so no, I don't think he will be able to remax. Don't think he's going to be able to defend it. He is basically only building anti-air right now, so the dragoons are going to have a pretty good time against this unit combination. The Valkyries do unfreeze, but they were on top of a bunch of carriers and dragoons, so a lot of them do get picked off. Trying to hold them back here to help pick off these interceptors, but just don't think it is going to be enough here as units continue to rally in here. The factories are starting to fall, and it looks like the Hydra is just falling apart here. He is going to GG out, and Kokanee is going to take a 1-0 lead in a fairly impressive game here. Just very solid PVT stuff there, and it's going to go up 1-0. He wants that Korean blood, and there are a couple of foreigners left for him before he can get it. He wants to face off with JH. He wants Scan, but yeah, he's not there yet. He still has 2 more rounds to get through before he faces off one of them. But yeah, he's going to take a nice 1-0 lead there in this series. And we shall see what game number 2 brings us. We got it. Game number 2. Kokanee going to be a Zerg in the top middle position here versus Hydra, who is going to be Terran once again here. But he does this time get a nice corner spot here. So that should be pretty good. They are a fair distance apart, but Zerg versus Terran in these spots isn't the easiest. It is easier than Zerg versus Protoss, but yeah, Kokanee has a very strong Zerg here, so we'll see exactly how she goes versus Lost Hydra's Terran. Yeah, we will just have to see. The first Overlord opting to go in that middle to scout out if there is a Protoss mid build or any kind of super early shenanigans. He is going to opt for that hatchery first, and we'll see what the Terran goes for. We'll just speed up these beginning couple of minutes just until we get some idea of what the strategies are, because everything's pretty standard looking right now. Don't think either players are going to risk anything too much. These guys have a bit of a rivalry, I do imagine, as 2 of the potential top foreigners out there, or the non-Koreans, I guess, whatever you want to call it. That first SCV is going to go out, not going to spot the Overlord or anything, so Terran player still doesn't know exactly what he is up against. Opting to keep that Marine at home, rallying them to his choke instead of scouting right there. I would like to see them scouted, but wants to keep them alive in case he is up against a Protoss player. But luckily for him, this FCV is going to scout it immediately, and now these Marines are going to come out here for some possible map control. It does actually send them back here, as he did see a couple of SCVs were alive, or a couple of Zerglings are out on the map here. Is able to save his SCV, and yeah, both players now do know what they are up against and will be able to plan accordingly. Kokanee is responding by getting a extractor here and throwing up 2 more creep colonies to make sure that no run-bys can occur. We do see the double gas here, so it looks like he's going to factory in his home base. Not going to go for the middle factories here. And the academy. So this could be the popular 1 factory with stim pressure here. I don't know if he's going to throw down another factory. He will need that gas for his starport and quicker vessel and or dropship, if he does so choose to do that standard build here, which is I assume that is what he's doing with that quicker academy here. You can't afford a double factory and stim and medics here, so you have to choose one or the other here, and sometimes people just opt for a single factory into quick siege mode with that starport and science facility. We'll see if it is going to be that starport. I imagine it is going to be a double starport here, so that is what he's opting to do here. Looks like it could be a drop play here. wanting to build those dropships up, or it also could potentially be just for extra vessels out, but most commonly you do see the starport up. You do see some ghosts build a couple of wraiths here to pick off the overlords, and sometimes there isn't any anti-air, as usually Zergs go into a lurker, into guardian or something like that, a lurker or muta. Wraith obviously not the best for its muta, but they should sometimes be out before there is a muta count. We'll see what the tech is for Hydra. It looks like he's going to go for the Spire and the Queen, so he's going to opt to skip Lurkers and go right for Guardians here. That is going to be the tech of choice. He's not going to have any Hydralisk Den out here for the time being. Unless I'm wrong. Nope, just going to throw down another hatchery here. So we'll see how these two builds collide. Okay, he's getting a science facility, so maybe not the double drop ship. He doesn't have the gas immediately for it. We'll see. No drop. He doesn't have the gas, so he is. Yeah. Okay. He does have siege mode though. And he is going to start pressuring with that tank here at the front here. It looks like it's just going to be the double vessel play. Not going to opt to get any drops, and that could be a pretty good. Considering that Hydra is going straight into Guardians here. Yeah, okay, just going into vessels, not going to bother getting any dropships out. Going to throw down a couple more barracks here. So he is really going to rely on a lot of Marine Medic in here, which is going to pan out pretty well, considering no Lurkers are going to be out on the map. A lot of sunken colonies getting thrown down here, as Kokanee just needs to buy himself some time to get his economy established up here. He has a pretty good drone count right now, and he is doing well. Just been massing drones for the 6 minutes. He does have 2 Scourges out to prevent any vessels from coming in here. The Marines trying to push forward here, but he sees that the Sunkens are too much in numbers here. Does have the Marine Medics out. It's going to be in pretty high numbers here. Vessels are now coming out as well. Doesn't want to lose too many units, as he needs to keep everything alive, but the mutas are now being produced as that Greater Spire does begin to morph in. Very early Greater Spire, 7 minutes, so very nicely done by Kokanee here. Like I said, his Zerg is very good. His Zerg versus Terran is excellent. The first vessel going to come in here is going to get the scout off. This is really the first scout that he's gotten off as well, right before it can get an errata-ta-ta-ta to take down. Going to get picked off, and he is now going to know he will be up against Guardian. I imagine he saw that Greater Spire morphing as well. It's possible that he didn't click on it, but he's going to assume with this quick muta that it is going to be Guardians here. Going to get that double engineering bay, as he is really going to rely on Marine Medics throughout this entire game, it appears. Or at least for this frontal pressure here. Opting to spend all of his gas into vessels. Oh, very nicely done there by Kokanee. Going to pick off that vessel. Keeping these vessel numbers low is super important as well, as that is going to be his main counter to these Guardians here. Starting to get some spores out here to prevent the vessels from coming in the front. Also going to protect these Guardians. Tanks in these low numbers. Just one single factory pumping out tanks, but he's keeping them all alive fairly well here, and they are doing work against these sunken colonies. So at one point there is going to be a big engagement here. He is now getting Hydralisk Den, not Lurker though. I don't know if he got Lurker already, but opting to get the Hydra Speed and the Defiler Mound here. So now getting all of his tech options out and about, and these Guardians are now here. He does want to pick off these tanks here to stop them from taking out his sunken colonies. Marines do stem forward. One ERAD does go down. Going to make that Guardian split off here, and he is stemming forward with these Marines, as there just isn't many sunken colonies out here, but these Marines are dying super quickly to these few numbers of Sunkens and Guardians. Just the right amount of number here for the Zerg player to prevent Hydra from pushing forward. Going to finally pick off those last few tanks and continue to push back this push here. yeah, so the Zerg does hold and basically resets that Terran army for the most part. A couple of Scourges going to come down here to scout exactly what's going on back at home. Opting to build another starport here and another barracks. Lots of starports here, so we'll see what exactly his plan is. It looks like he's going to skip factories and go for some kind of starport barracks play here. We'll see how she goes, because I feel like it's not going to be the best once these lurkers are out, but again, I'm just seeing a max of, or just a Hydra upgrades being thrown down here. Evo Chamber going to go get down, and he is going to start getting those upgrades pumping out now, which is always, of course, super important here. The Terran continuing to rally up front, but with only one factory, this tank numbers are just so slow. Really, really could be a problem later on in this transition. Not sure how much I like just the mass marine medic here, but we'll see how she goes here. Guardians, pretty few numbers, and there isn't nothing else to really defend them. So Marines in these numbers are going to stem forward and be able to, yeah, they actually are going to die fairly badly here. Another vessel getting picked off here. So the vessels continuing to be in really low numbers. It does have 5 there back in the middle of the map. But so far, everything has been denied. The Zerg creep is pushed back fairly far and doesn't have the highest number of defensive units, but he is now transitioning just into a mass ground army here, continuing to throw up an Ultralist Den and more hatcheries, another evil chamber, so we can get all 3 of those ground upgrades going. His Spire upgrades are also almost complete here, going to have a 1 Carapace done. And yeah, the Zerg is in a fairly decent position. Does have the Defilers out, does have the Guardians, all that stuff that you want. And Lurker upgrade about to be completed. So the Zerg is going to be fully teched. His economy has not really been touched whatsoever. And it's going to really be up to the Terran to do something right here. As the Zerg is only going to get stronger. The Terran is massing up is macroing up pretty good at home. Now finally does have a couple of factories here. Oh no, he does have a physics lab, so maybe going into possible battle cruisers right now, just building up some Valkyries here. The first swarm does go down here. No lurkers underneath it, just a single Hydra's in there. We do see a couple of lurkers being thrown down now inside there. So those are absolutely going to devastate those marine medics. Erad thrown down on all 3 of them, so these lurkers are going to die a slow and painful death buried in that ground here. No more lurkers being produced right now, but he does have a good number of Guardians and Hydralists. Good number of them. We'll see how well they do underneath that swarm. I imagine they're going to do a pretty good here. These vessels, more Erats getting thrown down here, making these Guardians split off and die a slow, painful death over there on their own here. A couple of Devourers going to be out here to prevent these Valkyries and to hurt up on these vessels here. He does really need to keep these vessels alive. He is continuing to lose so many of them. His gas is pretty low, so if he would keep these vessels alive, it would be beneficial, but he is just letting them all die here. Not what you want as a Terran player, and the Zerg is now going to be able to get map control. He has now officially defended all of that Zerg pressure, and the Terran, who wants to be on the offensive all day, is going to be now on the defensive here. I like that he is just chilling outside of the choke. He is going to not throw away any units here. The Marines are going to try to push forward, but against this, like I said, the Marines just do not... they're not as useful the later the game goes on. They are obviously not too bad, but in Zerg, you see most Terrans lift off their barracks so they can have more room for factories, as tanks are just so much better. We do see the Ultralists. You don't see Ultras very often. Ultras are going to be coming in here. Very nicely done. Kokanee does have the economy, so why not? And Ultras are pretty good versus Terran. Especially when they are accompanied by a swarm. It would be nice to see a swarm here but the number of units may just be too low. Ultralisk doing absolutely crazy amount of damage. No, not too many upgrades on them, but still, this early in the game, they are pretty good. 14-minute Ultralisk. They do now see that Defiler coming in here and going to throw down a swarm right in almost the heart of the Terran player. Not quite yet, but the choke is going to be broken here. Another swarm now, inching himself closer and closer to all of that production of the Terran player. All lurkers just inching themselves forward. I don't know if that Defiler is still alive. I feel like he may, oh yeah, Defiler did get it's going to die there. So not going to throw down another swarm here, but going to pick off the science facility, going to pick off a couple of starports and factories here, and just going to be an overall nuisance. Going to try to burrow outside of the swarm here. Not going to fare very well for them, but that swarm was almost up anyway. Ultralisk having a hard time figuring out where he wants to go there. Just going to do a little hula dance before he does die here. And so far, the Terran does hold. Terran obviously very good at holding on here. I zoomed in, and now I don't know where the original zoom is. Now, Zerg units though are going to be continuing to rally in here. Once the next round of Defilers come out here, continue to build Ultralisk too, which I do like that. Ultras are very good, underused in fastest, but yeah, obviously very good units to build here. Accompanied with a bunch of Zerglings, and if you do see those Defilers, it will be hard to stop, especially with the unit combination that our Zerg player is opting to go. We do see that Defiler gonna get errated right away, but not before it throws down a swarm at the choke. Really gonna prevent this Terran player from massing or from re-establishing his choke. But at this point, I feel like it may just be too little too late. These Ultralisks just, once they find a target, they are having a difficult time with the SimCity of the Terran here. And are being a little bit stupid. But with this number of Ultras, there's almost more Ultras than Terran units on the map. So anything that isn't blocked by buildings is going to be picked off here. Now just targeting the factories, which I do think isn't a bad choice at all. Just pick off these factories. More units streaming in from the Zerg base here. And yeah, the Terran is just holding on, just barely holding on here. Yeah, the Zerg can basically just, nice defensive matrix here. Basically can just start targeting the buildings down, and they will be able to pick off these buildings before, yeah, and just not allow him to rebuild here. Ultralisk just running around like madmen. The Defiler, though, really going to hurt these protected tanks here that have been doing most of the work here, freaking these Ultras right out. Continuing to swarm and get these lurkers down. Right now, right in the heart of the Terran player, right in the economy. Going to bust a wall down. Once these barracks are down, he is going to have free reign on that main. I just don't see how he could possibly re-establish his base here. Just absolutely in ruins. And it looks like Kokanee is going to take a 2-0 here after a failed push from Hydra. GG, well played by Kokanee. 2-0 for him. Jump into game number 3 after we take a little gander at that score screen. Nice stuff here. Beautiful, beautiful numbers here. Excellent numbers. Some of the best numbers you'll see. And yeah, GG, jump into game number 3.